What's up guys, we're back with another video and today we're taking a look at this case right here. Now this case may look a little familiar to you. It may look like the Fractal Design North, but it's actually its bigger brother. It's the Fractal Design North XL. This case has been increased in size to fit more components, to have more cooling options and all of that stuff. So we're going to tell you all about it. So let's go ahead and take a look. Now, as we take a look at the case here, you can see that we do have the white version. It's also going to be available in black as well. And then for the side panel, we have the tempered glass side panel, but you're also going to be able to get it in mesh as well. When it comes to the actual size of the case, I'll go ahead and put the official dimensions, like I always do right here. Now, this is actually a 36% increase in the overall size of the case. The case is not only taller, but it's also longer as well. So that's something you definitely want to keep in mind. The thing that sets this case apart from others is the front panel, which features wood paneling. This is real wood, and the white version will have a lighter wood, while the black version will be darker. The wood paneling is spread out enough to allow for proper airflow into the case. Removing the front panel is really easy. So all you have to do is just pull on it from the bottom and it's going to pop right off. And once it's removed, we can see that we do have a filter here. Now this filter can be removed. There's just a couple tabs. There's one here, second one, and you can fully remove it so you can easily go ahead and clean it. Behind the front panel is a cooling bracket where Fractal has installed 3 of their 140mm aspect PWM fans. These rifle bearing fans will spin between 500 and 1700 RPM, have a max airflow of 78 CFM, max noise level of 35.5 dBA, and are rated for 90,000 hours. The front cooling bracket does support 3 120mm fans as well, and radiators up to 420mm. Moving up to the top of the case, you'll find your buttons and connections. From left to right, you have a large power button, headphone and microphone jacks, 2 USB 3.0 ports, a USB 3.2 Gen 2 Type-C port, and a power LED. The rest of the top of the case here is ventilated, as you can see. There is a leather pull tab here at the back. You just pull on it, and the top of the case comes off very easily. We do have our cooling bracket here. This cooling bracket will support 3 120mm fans, 2 140mm fans, or 2 180mm fans, which Fractal does sell. As far as radiator support, you can go up to 360mm, and you can see that we do have a fill port here. The main side panel of the case is a tempered glass panel that's going to allow you to show off your hardware, and it's going to take up about 80% of the side of the case. Now, like I mentioned, if tempered glass isn't your thing, you can get a mesh panel. The opposite side panel is just your standard steel panel. Removing the side panel of the case is really easy. So we have 2 captive thumb screws. We loosen those up, and this is just like a normal panel. So you may want to put your hand below it just in case it falls out, but you just go like that, it unlocks, and then you can easily go ahead and take it out. Putting the panel back in is just as easy. So we just line up the grooves on the bottom, put it in, slide it over, and then we just go ahead and lock it into place. As we move to the back of the case, we have a pretty standard design with lots of ventilation, our motherboard mounts, and then a power supply mounts at the bottom. Now, don't let this ventilation fool you. You can actually install either a 120 or a 140mm fan there. There's also a small filter that pulls out from the bottom of the case for your power supply. And Fractal has added a Velcro strap to the back of the case to help you guide and organize your cables coming out of your system. When you remove the main side panel, you're still left with that 20% section towards the front of the case. There is a captive thumb screw towards the top that will unlock the panel so you can easily remove it. Now that we're inside the case, we can see that we have a very familiar 2-compartment design with a power supply cover separating the 2 compartments. The North XL will support motherboards all the way up to extended ATX, and the motherboard tray has 6 large cable routing holes, all of which have the rubber inserts installed. When it comes to graphics cards, you can install graphics cards as long as 413mm, and as you can see, our graphics card is installed vertically using Fractal's Flex 2 PCIe 4.0 vertical GPU riser bracket. Unfortunately, this is not included with the case, But the cool thing about this bracket is that it's universal, so you can pretty much plug it into any case out there. The power supply cover is pretty much all ventilated, which is a change from the original North. It does have a cutout on the front, so you have room for installing radiators in the front of the case. There is no cover for this cutout, but I don't think it's as big of a deal as this section of the case is hidden by that smaller panel. There are also 3 smaller cable routing holes in the power supply cover. These don't have the rubber inserts. Moving over to the opposite side, we can see how the rest of the case is designed. The first thing that really does stand out to me is the fan hub towards the top of the case. This fan hub will support 4 PWM fans, and one thing that's really nice about this is that Fractal has pre-wired the included fans to the hub. They didn't do this on the original North. There are 6 pre-installed Velcro straps on this side of the case, which will make organizing your cables quite easy. There are also plenty of tie-down points visible. Just like the original North, there's a removable SSD bracket that supports 2 2.5-inch SSDs. Moving down to the bottom compartment of the case, we have our power supply mounts and then 2 removable hard drive trays. These trays will support both a 2.5-inch and 3.5-inch hard drive at the same time. So in total, this case will support 6 hard drives out of the box. If you have a longer power supply, there are actually different mounting points for these trays. Talking about power supply support, this case will support power supplies as long as 175 millimeters. When it comes to testing, we test both temperatures as well as noise levels. So here's a full breakdown of our test system. As we come to the end here, I think this is a nice upgrade to the North. Now, the original North came out at the end of 2022, and since then, our components have gotten larger and more power hungry, and I think this case addresses a bunch of those issues. The biggest thing with the original North is that it only had room for a 360 millimeter radiator in the front, and then either a 240 or 280 in the top. This case, because it's larger, now we have room for a 420 in the front and a 360 in the top. And I think a lot of people building this case aren't necessarily building like crazy water cooling rigs. So they want the intake coming in with fans, and maybe they just want an AIO in the top. And something like a 240 or 280 isn't necessarily going to be great for something like a 14900K. So having 360 millimeter radiator support in the top is definitely nice. And then of course, if you're somebody who's just running fans, you do get the 3 included 140 millimeter fans with a case. You can put, 2 more 140s in the top or 3 120s, and of course a 120 or a 140 millimeter fan back here. So you have more than enough room for cooling to support all of those larger components, which is definitely nice. Talking about larger components, now that the case is larger, you have support for longer graphics cards up to 413 millimeters. You also have support for larger motherboards. So the original can only do ATX. Now we have support for extended ATX motherboards as well. And you can't forget how cool this case actually looks. When it came out, it definitely turned heads. It was something that was not ordinary and just looks so elegant and cool sitting on your desk. And the larger version is pretty much the same case design-wise. It looks the same. We have that awesome wood paneling in the front. And of course, that wood paneling is spread out enough so you can get adequate airflow into the case. And this case is really easy to build in. I really didn't run into any issues building in this case at all. Everything is really easy to put in, and then everything is really easy to organize. All of your cables, all of the cable routing holes, all of the tie downs, everything pretty much just works in this case. And it's, especially if you're a first-time builder, this is going to be an excellent case to build in as well. Now, if you have any questions about this case, go ahead and leave it in the comment section below. And if you enjoyed this video, I would appreciate it if you hit the thumbs up. We'll see you guys in the next video.